So what you're seeing is a server that we built. It's like a template, um, a, a base model of a virtual machine that we're going to duplicate in a rapid manner. And I just ran a program called sysprep. Okay. And sysprep is magical and devastating if you don't know how it works. But basically, I wanted to share with you very briefly. You can still see my screen, yeah?
Yeah, I can still see it.
So inside the system32 folder is another directory called sysprep. And inside here is the sysprep program. And once you have a template machine that's ideal, it's been updated, certain settings have been configured, you've set up a temp folder, you've done a lot of extra legwork, you can run sysprep and it's going to generalize the system so that it serves as a template. And then you can rapidly reproduce those systems and retain the same benefit, okay? And I want you to remember sysprep. And there's something about, I'm going to start it, but I'm not going to complete running it because I don't want to do this. But you see where it says out-of-box experience?
Yeah.
It says generalize an out-of-box experience. And you always want to shut down. So when you use this tool, you always want to select shutdown. You never want to select reboot. Always shut down. You select generalize, and you want the out-of-box experience. What this does is it turns that hard drive into like a brand new machine, but all of the hard work that you did is behind the scenes, okay? So none of that effort was wasted. All I got to do is walk through these screens, and that's what you're going to see on yours. I'm going to show you just how fast it takes to build a brand new system. And this is one thing that I really like about, let's see if I can minimize my taskbar. I want this to taskbar settings. How do I get this thing to minimize automatically? Taskbar behaviors, automatically hide. Okay, there we go. I was looking for this. That's what I was looking for. Okay. Now, on this system, in the VHD, can you still see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to work pretty quickly, but basically, here's the standard server, the cookie cutter machine. And before I powered it on to run more updates or do other things, after I ran sysprep, I used this C drive to create a Pegasus C drive. So all I did was copy this and then paste it. And if you watch, it's going to take all of, how long? About 20 seconds.
20 seconds.
Yeah. So what I'm doing is creating a duplicate of the hard drive that system used when it was being built. And then I'm going to plug it into another system. It's like taking a physical hard drive and just moving it. You remember how Jadel wanted to create a machine called Sissel?
Yeah.
Well, this is what I'm doing now for him, Sissel. Now let's see how we use Pegasus to build your machine. I'm going to create a new machine, virtual, and I'm going to go ahead and call this Pegasus. But this is the virtual machine name, not the system name after it's installed inside the machine, okay? We'll explain. So you won't see Pegasus once it comes up. It'll be a randomly assigned name. But in Hyper-V, in the hypervisor, this is where you see the name of the virtual machine within the Hyper-V hypervisor. Any questions so far? Right, so I'm going to accept the generation 1 option because this is the difficulty that we experienced in class the other day when I was trying to get the network card. It was partially working. I had selected generation 2 instead because I wanted to do all that UEFI stuff, advanced security. For some reason, there's some bugs in that. So now that we've got this down, I'm going to give it 6 gigs of space for memory. I'm going to use the host network connection, okay? And then I'm going to use an existing hard drive, which is named Pegasus-C, right? You with me?
Yep.
Okay, so now I'm going to go into some settings before I start this, just to make sure. I don't want it to boot from the CD. I want it to boot from the hard drive. I don't want 1 virtual processor. I want 2 because I want it to work pretty quickly when we first start. I want it to reserve 10% of the host. And that's pretty much it, okay? I don't have to put the ISO in here to build a new system. I don't have to install Windows because Windows is already on that hard disk, right? You understand?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't have to use the ISO for data center or standard edition. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm using the outside. All right, so I'm going to hit apply. And whoops. Yeah, I'm going to say none. That's what was going on there. All right, so now what I'm going to do, there's one more thing I got to do. Down here, I want to include guest services. You remember guest editions in VirtualBox, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the same kind of thing. Those are additional drivers. And then for checkpoints, I'm going to say I don't want it to keep checkpoints because I'm not using it to take snapshots or roll back or do research and development. I want to conserve my disk space. So I'm gonna do that. I'll hit apply and okay. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start Pegasus. And if I double click on Pegasus, I'll see a screen and away we go. How long did that take?
About like 5 minutes.
Yeah, about 5 minutes. I mean, compared to starting from scratch, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do with you on the screen, I'm going to pause the recording for a second. I want you to tell me what to put in for a password at a certain point. Okay? And can you look up your IP address at this time so we can see what kind of address you have? Are you connected to RT Park Wi-Fi?
I
Or,
am.
oh, you are. So can you connect to Bucks Wi-Fi?
Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, I'm on Box Wi-Fi now.
Okay. Give me a second. So here we are in here, and I'm going to go ahead and log in, and I'm going to create your login, okay?
Okay.
Now, I'm not connected with the network yet, because I'm sitting on a certain subnet. I have to give this an assignment. Do you remember what your IP address is going to be?
The one that you assigned to us,
Oh, look. See, I'm in the right.
15.
I'm in the right. As soon as I connect to the network, the product ID will activate. I have the latest updates. See, I'm in the right time zone. I have the right work group, but you notice how it assigned a random name?
Yeah,
And you see how IPv6 is enabled?
yeah,
I'm going to do this. I'm going to go into here, disable IPv6, and then I'm going to enter the following IP address, right? 146.226.249. I think it was 115, right?
yeah, 115.
I'm going to make this 255. Do this 146.226.249.1. And then here I'm going to put 1.1.1.1. All right. All of a sudden, this is identifying, what do we do with this question?
No,
The answer, no. We're also going to we're going to rename this so that we know what it is. VWAN, and I'm going to put 115, okay? Just so that I know when I'm looking at the interface, what IP address it has. The other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into tools and I'm going to create your login. So I'm going to go into here, create a user, and the new user I'm going to create is S. Bedford, right?
yeah,
I'm not going to use the full name. What I'm going to do now is pause the recording and ask you to tell me by audio what I should use for the password, and I'm going to put password never expires, okay? It has to be complex, so it has to be like 8 characters, upper and lower case, that kind of thing, okay?
okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and actually, can you just put it in the chat window? Because the chat window will not appear in the recording.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go ahead and pause the recording anyway. Just remind me to resume the recording again. Recording again. So now what I'm gonna do with your account, I'm gonna get rid of that because I don't want that to appear there. But I'm gonna make you a member of the administrators group and the remote users group. Whoop. Did I misspell it? There it is. And the remote desktop users group, okay?
Okay.
And there we have it. Now, if this is correct, I should be able to log out and log in on your system with your login, right?
Yeah,
And before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and change the name, because if I'm going to add DNS, I want the name to be constant and the IP address to be constant. That's really important to remember. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put Pegasus. And I'm also going to add the domain suffix groovy.net. You remember that?
yeah,
Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. It's going to have a domain name suffix, pegasus.groovy.net for DNS, but it's going to be a part of the work group Orion. So I'm going to say this, and it's going to have to reboot. So I'm going to restart my system. And I'll restart now. So let's see how fast this thing comes back up again. Okay,
okay.
that's the cool part. Oh my goodness. Have you ever seen a reboot like that?
No,
No, I haven't either. Okay, let me see if I can get this in there now. Okay,
Mhm.
whoops. I'm gonna stop recording and then you tell me the rest of the numbers there, because now that proves that you can log in. Okay. And one thing I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna add the role for DNS, okay?
Okay,
Because now I have a name that won't change and I have a fixed IP address. Now I can add a server role. What often happens is that people create a server, then they change the name or the IP address changes because it uses DHCP. And then the server stops working. That's one thing I want you to always remember after you get into the world of work, okay?
okay.
Right. So if I go here, wait a minute. My screen is kind of locked up. What I will do is add the caching, no, that's the caching root hints after I set up your DNS, okay? Let's see what's going on with Pegasus. Let's see if we can wake Pegasus up again. And there it is. It's back again. I'm going to minimize this. And so it seems to have a little bit of a hiccup. I may have to reboot it again. But I'm logged in as you, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to finish configuring the server, and what I'll do is describe the rest of the steps to get your DNS going. Because in the dashboard, yeah, it's something's going on. We'll probably have to bounce it or restart it. In the dashboard, you add DNS, and then you configure the DNS server so that it does cached root hints. Then you view advanced menu options and you look at the cache after you have pointed some things to it. And what I'd like to do later, I have a 1 o'clock class and I have to get on the screen there with the 1 o'clock class, but I'll finish this and then I'll finish the steps to configure and then I'll put it out there for you to view. What I'd like you to do is to try your remote access from there, from home at that point, okay?
Okay,
All right. Thank you much.
no
So,
problem.
yep, I'll beam you a text message or call you and let you know when it's ready to try.
Okay, no problem.
All right. See you later
Bye.
today.